carnivores, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Bella the Steak and Butter Gal. I hope you all are having an amazing meat-fueled day, and as always, I'd love to know how you are doing on your carnivore journeys. Feel free to drop an update down below in the comments. If there is only one food that I could recommend on a carnivore diet that keeps meals budget-friendly yet delicious, it would hands down be ground beef, and I'm guessing there's a lot of you out there who feel the same way. Ground beef is probably the juiciest, most nutritious bang for your buck, but like most things, the same old recipes can get tired and boring. So in today's video, I'll be taking you to Flavor Town, aka my kitchen, to show you 10 delicious yet easy ground beef recipes that I cook every single week for myself and Steak and Butter Guy. Of course, if you ever have any questions while watching these recipes, feel free to comment them down below and I'll make sure to help out. Without further ado, let's whip out our best skillet and favorite ground beef and get to cooking already. Our first ground beef recipe, I will be teaching you how to make a 100% carnivore McMuffin, also known as a delicious breakfast sandwich. The bread is 100% carnivore, clean, and absolutely delicious. We're going to need 2 ounces of cream cheese, and it's very important that it is at room temperature. 1 full cup of pork panko, and the brand that I like is from Pork King. I will make sure to link everything that I used in this video, by the way, down below in the description box. You can also make pork panko at home by just crushing up pork rind chips. That's basically the same thing. And we will also need 3 whole chicken eggs. Before we mix everything together, let's first preheat our oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Now let's prepare the batter for our carnivore bread. We're going to crack all 3 eggs into a bowl large enough to mix everything together. Start beating up the eggs first, and then we're going to slowly add in our pork panko and then our cream cheese. It's important that the cream cheese that you use is at room temperature. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to mix, at least manually, when it's cold and stiff. You can, of course, use your handheld whisk or your food processor, food mixer, whatever you have on hand that could help you mix this batter, but I don't really have that many gadgets in my kitchen. I live a very minimal carnivore cooking life, so I just use my own hands to mix up this batter, which is perfectly fine. The bread that you will get after you bake this is going to still be phenomenal, soft, and delicious. Once you've reached a consistency like this, we are going to split the batter into 2 parts, transfer it onto some parchment paper, and we're going to flatten it with our hands with another piece of parchment paper, and you can slowly peel it off to unveil 2 perfect carnivore buns. We're going to now transfer into the oven, bake at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for a total of 15 minutes. So feel free to set your timer. While the carnivore bread is baking, we will now cook our beef burgers. You can cook your burgers exactly how you prefer it, but I like mine with a delicious char, yet rare and juicy on the inside. So that's about 3 minutes seared on high both sides for me. Once your burgers are done, just set it aside for now. Now I'm going to show you how to make the easiest carnivore dipping sauce in the world. It is called Carnivore Hollandaise sauce. You can also call it baconaise if you use bacon fat for this recipe. I will be using pure beef fat, also known as tallow. I have a whole dish of saved up beef fat. Whenever I cook ground beef or flank short ribs, I will always pour the melted fat into this dish so it can collect and harden into this beef frosting. When you chill it, you'll notice that it's hard and white, but when you let it come to room temperature, it will start melting and become clear and transparent. We will take about 1 full cup of the animal fat that you choose, let it come to room temperature, or you can just slightly heat it so it melts, and we're going to need 3 chicken egg yolks. Only the yolks though. I would not add the raw egg white because that could cause indigestion. So just use the yolks, mix up those 3 yolks, then you can transfer the melted animal fat into the dish, mix it up, really mix it up well so it's nice and thick and blended. And there you go, the most delicious yet simple carnivore dipping sauce. You can use this sauce with any of the recipes I share in this video. And of course, you can season and salt to your preferences. All right, the 15 minutes are up. Let's take out our carnivore bread. Yours should look just as poofy and beautiful as mine. You can also fry it on your pan for an extra char in some butter or bacon fat. This bread is moist, bouncy, and so delicious, and it was only made with 3 ingredients: pork panko, eggs, and cream cheese. And the last step to finish our carnivore McMuffin, I'm going to fry up some eggs sunny side up. I like my yolks runny, so it just takes 2 to 3 minutes to cook on high in some beef fat. Slather your bread with the delicious carnivore sauce and put your sandwiches together. Feel free to tag me if you try this recipe on Instagram or TikTok at Steak and Butter Gal.
my god.
How does this look, babe?
You made this? How was that carnivore?
Because pork panko bread, 0 non-carnivore ingredients. Pork panko flour with
It looks
some
like bread though.
I know, with
Are you
some
sure?
cream cheese. Yeah.
It's just panko?
It's just panko and cream cheese and egg, of course. Okay, try it in the
Dang,
frame.
you guys see this though? Are you sure this isn't just bread?
I'm 100% positive it is 100% carnivore, guys. Oh, he's taking another bite. Let's take a quick break from the cooking and touch up on shopping for carnivore staples. For all my busy carnivore mamas and papas out there who want a convenient yet clean way to shop for all of your kitchen and home needs, I highly recommend checking out Thrive Market. Thrive Market is basically an online membership-based grocery store where you can shop for all of the best carnivore snacks, household supplies, and non-toxic cleaning supplies. I always stock up on their beef sticks, and this is Thrive Market's very own. It is way cheaper than Chomps, and the ingredients are just as clean. They come individually wrapped, so they're great for if you travel a lot or you need snacks for on the go. They also sell popular brands like Redmond's Real Salt, and the price is always the lowest on Thrive Market because they always price match. I use this almost every single day when I cook up steak and butter guys meals. I always stock up on their laundry detergent from their very own Rosie line, non-toxic and made with no harsh chemicals and 0 synthetic fragrances. Their dishwasher detergent packs are also fantastic. It gets the job done, cuts all the grease from our greasy carnivore plates, and is also non-toxic with 0 harsh chemicals. I personally like to shop through the Thrive Market app because you can select their keto diet filter. This way, it'll only show you the keto and carnivore-friendly products being offered on their site. You can get all of your low-carb goodies and zero-carb goodies guaranteed at the lowest price. And if you see any lower prices anywhere, they will always price match for you. Shipping is always free over $49, and you can all get 30% off your first order plus a free gift worth up to $60 by going to the URL shown on the screen, thrivemarket.com/steakandbuttergal. Also, link them down below in the description box. Our second ground beef recipe, I will be teaching you how to make a Chinese-inspired dish. It is called the steamed minced meat patty. I know it sounds weird, but the techniques that I use to make this dish, you can use in all types of carnivore dishes. And the homemade shrimp paste that I will teach you how to make will add umami and savory flavor to every carnivore dish you add it to. It is a very popular technique in Chinese cuisine, so I'm very excited to show you. For ingredients, we will need half a pound of ground beef. I'm just using some 80/20 pasture-raised ground beef here. For the garnish, I'll be using Carnivore Crisps grass-fed beef flour. It's simply made with grass-fed beef and Redmond's Real Salt. They also have a great organ blend beef flour. And for shrimp, we're just going to need about 6 pieces of shrimp for the paste. To make the paste, all we need is just shrimp, and we're just going to chop it up until it is so finely minced and chopped up that it turns into a paste. That's it. That simple, that effortless. It just takes some patience and skill to chop up this shrimp until it really just becomes a paste. And this is such a popular Chinese cuisine cooking type of technique. It really does act like a glue in any dish you add it to. Also, if this sound brings back any childhood memories for you, let me know in the comments. Okay, now we're going to add the shrimp paste to the ground beef and mix it really well until it becomes an ooey gooey blend like this. Again, this type of blend can be used with minced pork or any minced meat that you desire. And this blend right here can be created into so many different types of dishes. I will actually show you this steamed dish right now and also another dish using the same exact meat mixture. So let's get a little bit of water to a boil in a nice wide pan. Once the water is to a boil, transfer that plate into the pan, close the lid, and we're going to steam for a total of 12 to 15 minutes. Of course, you should keep an eye and choose whatever consistency and doneness you like, but this is about 12 minutes steamed at medium heat, and you can see the beautiful broth oozing out of this steamed meat patty. We're going to top it off with a raw egg yolk because it looks pretty and it adds another layer of flavor, and we're going to garnish it with some of the Carnivore Crisps beef powder. Our third ground beef recipe, I will show you how to make crispy shrimp and ground beef niblets. We're going to be using the same exact shrimp paste ground beef batter that I taught you how to make, and instead we will be transferring it into a Ziploc bag, cutting a little hole at the edge of the Ziploc bag to be used as a batter dispenser. We're going to be squeezing little niblet bites onto our pan, cooking it in whatever animal fat that you prefer, and just frying it up about 2 to 3 minutes per side to make some delicious crispy meat niblets. Nice and crispy. Mmm. I didn't add any salt, any seasonings whatsoever, and the flavor is so savory, so honestly very salty, and there's no salt added to the shrimp. So this is phenomenal if you want a clean, minimal snack that's crunchy yet chewy and juicy. Now we're gonna try the Chinese-inspired steamed ground beef pancake. You can obviously season and salt at the end however you'd like. You can even add some fish sauce on top for extra flavor.
Mmm. Mmm. Oh my god.
The steaming process really retains the moisture and the juiciness. If you want it extra tender, of course, just steam it low and slow. My fourth ground beef recipe, I will be showing you how to make carnivore Scotch eggs. Crispy and charred on the outside with a delicious, juicy inside. It is, by the way, way easier to make than it looks. So let's get started. For ingredients, you're just going to need 3 hard-boiled eggs. You can also make them soft-boiled, of course, some sugar-free bacon, and about 1 pound of ground beef. I'll link all of my favorite ingredients and brands down below in the description box. We're now going to preheat our oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's first start off by making our ground beef pancake. Really flatten out that ground beef, and I just eyeballed it for mine. And then we're going to transfer it into our hands and place one of our boiled eggs into the middle of the pancake. Now we're going to carefully wrap the ground beef so that it completely wraps around the full boiled egg. We're going to take 3 strips of bacon and tightly wrap around the full ball. Here's a better view of me wrapping the bacon strips around the Scotch egg. Try your best to wrap it as tightly as you can. It's going to create a better result. I personally used a total of 3 strips for each Scotch egg. Now we're going to transfer it into a dish that you can bake with, and we're going to bake at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for a total of 25 minutes. If you like it crispier on the outside, of course, you can bake it for longer. Here's the end result. Absolutely beautiful. And let's cut down the middle to see the inside. For our 5th recipe, I will be teaching you how to make the easiest juicy meatballs in creamy white sauce. We will be baking these meatballs as a casserole, and you can of course omit the dairy if you are not eating dairy right now, and instead use the easy hollandaise sauce that I taught you how to make earlier in the video. These meatballs alone are incredibly moist and juicy. For our ingredients, we're going to need 1 pound of ground beef, some shredded cheese, any cheese will do. I'm just using some Parmigiano Reggiano, and 2 raw eggs cracked in a bowl. I put a small handful of the cheese into the bowl of ground beef, and we're going to pour the raw egg mix into the bowl of ground beef and cheese, and we're just going to manually mix that all up until it's nice and blended. Once you've shaped your meatballs to the size of your preference, we're just going to brown the edges. I'm just cooking it in a nice hot pan in beef fat, about 30 seconds each side, just to get a nice crust before we pop it in the oven. Once you're done getting that brown edge, we're just going to transfer it into a casserole dish like so, and we're going to now make the creamy white sauce. For the sauce, we just need some heavy whipping cream, and we're going to use the rest of the cheese that we had laying on the side. Pour about 1.5 cups of heavy whipping cream and just get it to a nice boil. Once it starts boiling, we're going to turn down the heat and just simmer for a few minutes while occasionally stirring, just to make sure that it continues to thicken slowly. I ended up cooking for about 6 minutes on medium heat, and then I transferred a small handful of the cheese to help thicken it up a little bit more. Once we've reached a nice thick consistency to the sauce, we will now pour it all over the meatballs in the casserole dish. And then finally, we will sprinkle the rest of the cheese left in the bowl all over the meatball dish. And then we will now transfer into the oven and bake at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 to 25 minutes. So set your timer. Here's the final result after 25 minutes of baking. Carefully transfer it out of the oven and you can start plating it. Make sure you pour more of that delicious creamy white sauce over the meatballs. And I personally garnished with more of the Carnivore Crisps beef powder for a beautiful presentation.
Amazing dishes! Oh my god.
Okay, here we've got...
You made that?
Yes, I made it. 100% carnivore.
Oh, what is this, like a Scotch egg or something like that?
Exactly.
Very nice.
These are some juicy Bella's meatballs drizzled in delicious white sauce. You can call it Alfredo sauce. It is 100% carnivore. Yay? Nay?
That dish, I would rate 10 out of 10. That's a big boy right there.
Man, okay, ready? Just take half of it.
This one, I'd give 10 out of 10 just on the technique. Man, look at this thing. It's gorgeous. You see this?
Yes.
You see like the bacon weave?
Oof,
oh my
that
god.
Color. For our 6th ground beef recipe, I will teach you how to make shrimp and ground beef meatballs in egg drop soup. I'm going to now incorporate the shrimp paste that I taught you earlier. So again, finely chop your shrimp so that it turns into a paste like this, and we're going to get our broth to a boil. You can also choose to use plain water if you don't have broth on hand, but of course using a nice meaty broth will really enhance the flavor profile. We're going to start mixing the shrimp paste with our ground beef. And once the broth comes to a boil, we will start dropping our meatballs into the soup to cook. Obviously, if you would like perfectly shaped meatballs, you can of course shape them into meatballs beforehand, but I prefer the convenience of just pinching, dropping in the soup, pinching, and dropping. I usually cook this soup for about 5 minutes on medium heat, and in the meantime, I'm going to mix up 2 raw eggs to create the final egg drop flour. So we're going to beat this egg mixture really, really well, and then we're going to turn off the heat because we want the egg flour to be as delicate and minimally cooked as possible. So turn off the heat and then carefully drip the raw egg into the soup. The more circles you make and little flour patterns you make, the more delicate and fine the egg drop flour will be. For our 7th ground beef recipe, I will be teaching you how to make my mama's famous egg pudding, but with a twist. We're going to make it with minced ground beef, and this is going to be added into our egg pudding mixture so that when it's steamed and becomes a pudding, every spoonful will have a little bit of steamed ground beef in it as well. It is actually very meaty, very delicious, and this is now my new favorite way to enjoy egg pudding. Of course, it's going to be savory, so you can't really turn this one into a dessert. We're going to need 5 eggs, 5 raw chicken eggs, and we're going to match the exact same amount of eggs to liquid ratio. So if you're going to use exactly 1 cup of eggs, we're going to match that by using exactly 1 cup of liquid of your choice. I'm just using plain filtered water, and I'm going to be matching it with 1 cup exactly of the water. You can of course use broth, milk if you want to turn it into a dessert. Any liquid of your choice will work, but just make sure it is a 1-to-1 ratio. I know in my last video I did a 2-to-1 ratio. That's really best for advanced egg steamers, and this one I just want to make it as easy as possible, so we're going to stick to a 1-to-1 ratio. Mix the egg and water or whatever liquid you choose as best as you can, and then we're going to get a big pot to a boil. Just put a tiny bit of water. We really don't need that much water, just 1 inch is enough, and we're going to get that to a boil. In the meantime, we're going to prepare another bowl. It has to be able to fit into that pot, otherwise we can't steam the egg pudding. Put some ground beef into that bowl and then pour your egg mixture over the ground beef into that separate bowl. Once our pot of water is to a boil, we're going to carefully place our egg pudding bowl into the hot pot. I did not protect my hands, so I slightly burned myself and poured a bit of the egg mixture into the pot, but it's okay. It's still going to cook beautifully. Put the lid over your pot and it has to close fully to properly steam, and we're going to cook on low-medium heat for a total of 12 to 15 minutes. Obviously, you should eyeball it, keep checking on it occasionally to make sure that it becomes a pudding for you. Each mixture is going to need a different variation of time based on how big your eggs are, how much meat you put in, how much liquid you ended up putting in. So of course, keep an eye on it. And once it reaches a consistency like this, when you pat the belly with a spoon, if it has a nice bounce back, then you know that it is fully properly steamed. This next dish is carnivore muffins made out of ground beef and eggs. Of course, you can eat it with a side of butter to make it extra high fat. And with all of these recipes, please feel free to season and salt however you'd like. To make these muffins, I just line a cupcake sheet with ground beef. Once I line each of the cupcake molds with ground beef, I just pour in some beat up eggs to fill each ground beef mold. I then bake it for 20 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and you can do longer if you like it crispier. This is the finished product. It's juicy, it's delicious, perfect for kids as well, and easy to take on the go. Our ninth recipe will just be an easy ground beef egg scramble in one pan. This is as quick and easy as it gets. So I'm going to whip up this absolutely delicious meal by having my ground beef cook on one side of my pan, and I'm going to do a light fluffy scramble on the second half of my pan with this beef tallow fat. And once it's coated the entire pan, I'm going to pour in my already beat up eggs. Cook everything at a medium heat. I cover my pan with this amazing grease splatter proof cover. I, by the way, will link absolutely everything I used in this video down below in the description box, but this grease splatter cover is life-changing. And there you go. This is the final product of this egg scramble with ground beef. It's just a really, really good, easy peasy meal that you can't go wrong with. Simba's always in close proximity because he wants a couple bites of my meals. And last but not least, this is our 10th and final ground beef meal. It is a no-brainer to me, but it actually might be quite a cool discovery for you if you've never heard of it. It is called the next day ground beef. I know it sounds pretty gross, but I'm telling you, something about a leftover ground beef where you cooked it the day before and you let it sit in the fridge and then you eat it either chilled or at room temperature. Wow, the flavor, the consistency, the way the beef fat turns into a white meat frosting. I personally love this so much, and I purposely cook a bunch of ground beef just to have next day ground beef. Let me know if you do this already or if you are willing to try this. Most people do think it's a little bit nasty, but I actually posted this on Instagram. It went viral and a lot of people tried it for the first time and they loved it. So feel free to follow me on Instagram for more tips and tricks at Steak and Butter Gal. If you are new to this carnivore lifestyle, you just stumbled across my channel and you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed and lost on how best to start, I welcome you all to come join my community, the Steak and Butter Gang. It is completely off social media, and it is truly a safe haven for all my carnivores and meat eaters to share their updates, questions, struggles, and victories. You'll be able to work with my amazing team of carnivore coaches to get your questions answered and get the guidance and troubleshooting you need to succeed. I also invite carnivore doctors every single week to answer our questions as well. In this coming month, I will be inviting on Dr. Anthony Chafee, Dr. Robert Kiltz, Dr. Tony Hampton, and Coach Rebecca Heichman to visit and answer questions. Feel free to check out the community and our monthly 30-day carnivore challenges at the URL shown on the screen, sbgmeetup.com. You can also find clickable links down below in the description box. If you're not ready to join a carnivore community just yet, but still want a peek at amazing advice given by these phenomenal carnivore doctors, I highly recommend you check out my last video, Genius Carnivore Diet Advice for 30 minutes straight, where I condense some of of the very best golden carnivore moments to keep you inspired. I really hope you enjoyed these carnivore recipes, and as always, thank you so much for watching the video. And if you try any of the recipes, whether here on YouTube or on Instagram or on Facebook, please do tag me. I would love to see your renditions and cheer you on. You can find me and tag me on all socials at the handle Steak and Butter Gal. If you need a great place to shop for all carnivore staples, I highly recommend you check out Thrive Market. Feel free to go to the URL shown on the screen, thrivemarket.com/SBGAL, or check them out down below in the description box. I'll see you in my next video. SBG out.